In this episode of Coach for You, I'm going to share with you how to get past sales objections. I'm going to share with you a technique that's going to make you look at sales objections in a completely different way. I'm also going to show you how to melt sales objections before they even come up. Welcome to Coach for You. My name is Daniel Nicart. I'm the sales manager at Tustin Corporate. I lead a team called Isla, Tustin, Daniel. And currently right now I work in the call center, which is a little bit different. I work for Isla, internal loan agents. So majority of my business is done over the phone. In Isla, we don't have the advantage of actually seeing our prospects in person and gaining that relationship in person. And so majority of our business, needless to say, is actually over the phone. Fortunately, I sit with some of the strongest salesmen in the industry, let alone inside the company. And so what I'm going to share with you are different techniques that I've learned as well as I've seen being used by the top producers at New American Funding. So with regards to sales objections, when we think about the word sales objection, initially it's our grind, right? It's the reason why most salespeople do not like sales is because we believe and we tie rejection to objections. Meaning we believe they almost have the same effect or the same meaning. When in reality, an objection is actually a question about buying your product, buying and learning more. But as salesmen, we can sometimes take it from a defensive state. And so in this episode, I want to teach you how to look at it in a different light. I want to share with you a technique that's going to put you more on offensive rather than defensive. Meaning, anytime you engage with a prospect, whether it's in person or if it's over the phone, you're going to run into some sort of resistance. But let's understand why. So the reason why we have resistance is because initially society is trained to avoid salesmen. They don't like talking to salespeople. They're on guard because why? Well, they're raised to protect their money. They're raised to ensure that they get the absolute best deal. No one wants to feel like they paid more than they need to. And so this is the initial point of view that your prospect brings to the table. Again, whether it's on the phone or it's in person, just to know that it's there. And so what I've found is that the only real way to handle an objection is first off, it's best to do it before it even comes up. And I'm going to share with you how to do that. But I want you to first understand the objection and understand the position of the objection and when and where it comes. Most of the time, we're unable to complete a successful sales conversation, i.e. the 1003 application, the initial sales call, that very first engagement that you have with your prospect. We are unable to complete that process successfully because we are stopped. It's almost like a big roadblock. It's kind of like a wall that we need to get through, and this wall is the objection. Typically that objection is, what's your lowest rate? I don't have time right now. I'm not in the market, or I don't qualify for the loan. And you'll notice that most of the time, if we allow that objection to happen up front, we are not positioned properly to have enough leverage to address that objection. And so I invite you to prepare yourself, learn how to prepare yourself so that you're on the offensive, you're not on the defensive. Let me give you an example. When we first engage with a prospect, again, whether it's by phone or it's in person, typically there are common objections, usual resistance that we'll meet, such as, what's your price? What's your fee? Can you beat this company? These are already givens. These are external objections. Where we have challenge as salesmen is we have what's called internal objections, meaning we doubt ourselves. And so we'll actually object to our strategy, our method, our confidence. And when we have internal objections, this actually exudes in your tone. It exudes in your body language, and more importantly, it exudes through the tone over the phone. And so they can hear that you're in a defensive state, but pay mind to how you actually put yourself in that position. And typically we do this by giving control of the microphone, by giving control of the engagement to the prospect. And when we give control to the prospect too soon, they are in a position where, again, they don't know us, they're at a defensive state, they're in a guard, and so the only thing that they understand how to do is to ask for something for free, or is to ask for the absolute lowest rate in order to earn the time. And what I have found work is that if you do not let them control the engagement or the conversation, you're actually driving the conversation. And that is important because you need to position yourself as the authority. You need to position yourself as the professional, but more importantly, position yourself as a consultant, not a salesman. You see, if you think about it, it's kind of like when you speak to a doctor. A doctor is not selling you. There's a tonality that the doctor has when he talks to you. He's not asking you to take care of yourself. He's telling you what to do to take care of yourself. And keep in mind, there's something authoritative about that, right? We never really ask, like the authoritative figures, they don't ask us if they can do the assessment. They don't ask us if they can take the heart rate. If you think about a cop, they don't ask you if they can give you a ticket. And so, but that's their objective. And so as salesmen, why would we ask, how can we help them? We should already know how to help them. Does that make sense? And so when we ask what your goal is, or how are you doing today, or how can I help you, this is giving the driver's seat and the driver wheel to the prospect. Now keep in mind, if they don't know where they're going, the only thing that they'll refer to is what they understand. And so when you think about social media, you think about media, you think about billboards, you think about any marketing advertisement, anything that piques interest typically is something associated with something for free. It's associated with something with a very, very low interest rate. And of course, the fine print says the full details. But keep in mind though, that marketing and sales are two separate things. Marketing is going to connect you, whereas sales is going to close you. Does that make sense? And so a lot of the time we in sales sometimes get upset because the marketing says this one particular price. Markets change and sometimes it's outdated, and it positions us as sales to go through this resistance and through this objection. So I encourage you to not give control of the conversation. Instead, remain in the driver's seat. Drive that conversation and go straight to the true reasons as to why they need the lower rate. Because when they ask you for the lower rate, what they really mean is they need a lower payment. It's just that they don't understand the dynamics and the logistics, the full detail of how mortgages work. And so when you get objections about price, or you get objections about interest rate, don't take that as guard, as if you're on defense. Number one, understand that one, you allowed the objection to happen, but number two, when the objection happens, you want to have enough leverage to still encourage them to continue forward and moving forward. Where you may lose is if you jump into OB, or if you jump onto rate sheet and you start pricing deals right after you said hello. Not only would you be doing a disservice to the prospect, but also to yourself, because you're not setting the tone of that engagement to be proper, and you're not setting it to a tone of really about helping that person. And so when we understand why they really want a lower rate, we're gonna find that they actually need a lower payment. And then you'll find furthermore that they need that payment because they need to solve a problem. And the problem is what we really need to extract. And so the question is, well, Daniel, how do I melt an objection before it even happens? And I have a sales script for you, by the way, which is available at salesremastered.com. I actually do sales coaching, and I have a brand that's available on YouTube. It's available on Facebook. It's available on Instagram. And if you're on these platforms, check it out. Just look at @SalesRemastered, or simply search inside that application, #SalesRemastered. You're gonna see all the posts that I've done recently, and I do it daily. I do uploads on a daily basis as well to the YouTube channel that actually shows you insight information of what other loan officers are going through, and I think you'll find that you actually go through the same objections. Well, I share this script at salesremastered.com that enables you to take control of the conversation, and what it does is it drives the conversation. It positions you to ask important questions that allows you to sell the remainder of the conversation, and more importantly, build up the suspense and kind of the curiosity of what you have to offer. And the only way that I'm able to do this is to really address the objections right up front. And so when I receive a call from a customer service representative and they connect me, I drive the conversation like this. Hey, thanks for holding. My name is Daniel. I'm authorized to provide you with the information you need. If you have a pen and paper, go ahead and grab that now. But what I'm going to do first is just make sure that I can continue with this conversation. I'm going to find out if I can help you, and if I can, I'm going to disclose it. If I cannot, at least I'll save you a bunch of time and I'll possibly point you in the right direction. Now let me confirm, this property that we're talking about today, this is your primary residence on Myford? Beautiful. Now I see that the last time you refinanced was 2017. You did it with Loan Depot, or you did it with Quicken, and it looked like the balance that you wrote was about $215. Is that balance still the same? Got it. And any other debt besides the mortgage? Let's start off with credit card debt. And do you see how I drove the conversation and I funneled in a direction where I know most of my prospects, most of society is experiencing? And it's that 8 out of 10 homeowners are living beyond their means, meaning they're not bringing in enough versus what's going out. And so since I know that that's a sensitive topic, I know that that gives me leverage to control the conversation. If I go down that route and I extract the right information, not only will I have enough information to keep the prospect moving forward to complete that application, but then I'm going to build mystery. And a lot of times the reason why we fail is because we don't bring enough mystery to the table. We're more about history, right? We're more about selling. We're more about asking. We're more about offering. Instead, we need to actually drive the conversation as if it's coming to them regardless. Because the truth is that they don't understand how the process goes. You and I, we both do. And so now we as professionals really need to take pride with our position. We earned this license. We positioned ourselves with the strongest mortgage lender in the country. We are the professional, and that is how you handle objections.